Baba Vanga's 2025 Prophecies. 3 events will shake the world, 3 will shatter humanity. They said her time had passed, that her visions were relics of the past. But now, as 2025 approaches, Baba Vanga's final prophecies are returning, louder, clearer, and more urgent than ever. For decades, this blind mystic from Bulgaria predicted events with chilling accuracy, conflicts, disasters, and global shifts we couldn't foresee. Many dismissed her, but history listened, and it may be listening again. Now, 6 warnings rise from the shadows of her visions. 3 will shake the world to its very core. Earth, sky, and power structures will tremble, and 3 more will pierce into the heart of humanity itself, forcing us to rethink how we live, how we connect, and what it means to survive. These are not just prophecies. They are reflections of a world on the edge, echoes of change that already ripple through our daily lives, in climate, in technology, in our growing sense of uncertainty. Before we uncover the powerful messages behind these predictions, take a moment to support the journey of wisdom. Somewhere out there, someone is searching for meaning in a world that feels like it's shifting beneath their feet. A like, a share, or a subscribe helps carry this wisdom further to those who need it most. And if you feel called to be a guardian of ancient knowledge, a voice for forgotten truths, consider a super thanks. You're not just supporting content, you're keeping alive the stories that might one day guide us through the chaos. Number 1. 3 events that will shake the earth. 1. A massive earthquake. For generations, beneath our feet lies a fault line so ancient and vast that its silence has been mistaken for safety. But Baba Vanga, the blind mystic of the Balkans, warned of a time when this slumbering force would awaken, splitting the earth with such power that nations would tremble and geography itself would change. She didn't offer exact dates, but she envisioned a year of great unrest, when the earth would groan and shift, echoing the inner turmoil of humanity. Now, in 2025, the world stands on edge, not just socially and politically, but geologically as well. Modern seismologists are expressing growing concern over long, quiet fault lines, particularly those known to hold tremendous energy, now showing subtle signs of movement. From the Pacific Ring of Fire to the vast seismic zones in Central Asia and even regions in North America, there's a sense of pressure building, like a kettle too long on the stove. What once were whispers in the scientific community are becoming more urgent conversations. The devastating potential of such an event is not limited to collapsed buildings or shattered roads. A quake of this magnitude could redraw coastlines, uproot entire communities, and spark secondary disasters. Tsunamis, nuclear plant meltdowns, food shortages, even conflict over displaced populations. The human cost would be immeasurable, not just in lives lost, but in the deep psychological impact of having the very ground beneath you betray your trust. This is where Baba Vanga's prophecy moves beyond physical devastation into the realm of spiritual reflection. Many believe the earth is not just rock and soil, but a living entity, responsive in mysterious ways to the emotional and ethical climate of the human race. Could it be that our collective unrest, our growing disconnection from nature, and the deepening fractures within our societies are being mirrored by the planet itself? In recent years, tremors have become more frequent in unlikely places. Volcanic activity is rising. Some call it coincidence, others see it as the earth clearing its throat before a scream. But whether or not you believe in prophecy, this is a time to pause and reflect, not in fear, but in awareness. If the earth is stirring, then perhaps it's reminding us to look inward as well as outward. How solid is the ground we stand on? In our relationships, in our values, in our priorities. For those listening now, the message is clear. Prepare wisely, live mindfully, and build lives that can endure not just physical tremors, but spiritual ones too. Now that 2025 is here, let's respond not with panic, but with purpose. And maybe, through understanding and compassion, we can soften even the hardest ground beneath our feet. 2. Solar storm. The day technology dies. Baba Vanga once spoke of a fire in the sky, a brilliant, blinding force that would bring silence to the modern world, not through destruction of cities or armies, but by cutting off the very thing we depend on every single day, our technology. Think about it. How often do you rely on your phone, your GPS, your internet connection, or even just the electricity that powers your home? What if, in the blink of an eye, all of it disappeared? Today, scientists are seriously warning us that the sun is entering a highly active phase, and with it comes the very real risk of solar flares, bursts of energy so powerful they can disrupt Earth's magnetic field. If a major coronal mass ejection, or CME, were to strike the planet directly, it could fry communication satellites, damage electrical grids, and wipe out global internet access. And this isn't science fiction. In 1859, a geomagnetic storm known as the Carrington event caused telegraph systems to fail and even shocked operators with electric surges. Back then, it was just a strange phenomenon. But today, the same level of impact could lead to complete technological collapse. Baba Vanga's prophecy doesn't just describe a flare, it paints a picture of total silence across the digital world, a fire in the sky that will silence nations, a line that now feels eerily aligned with what experts are warning us about. What would life look like if the digital heartbeat of the world simply stopped? No banking systems, no air traffic control, no emergency services, and no way to call a loved one. Would we panic, or would we adapt? And here's the deeper question she seems to be asking us through this vision. Have we become so dependent on technology that we've forgotten how to live without it? Can we grow our own food, fix simple machines, or navigate without? This prophecy isn't just about fear, it's a mirror being held up to us, showing how fragile our modern way of life truly is. Some see this potential event as a cosmic warning, a push from the universe to re-evaluate what we value, how we live, and what we're prepared for. You might be wondering, is there anything we can do? The answer is yes. While we may not be able to stop the sun's activity, we can prepare by learning how to become less dependent on devices, building community resilience, and even supporting investment in infrastructure that's more resistant to solar disruption. What skills could you begin learning today that don't require an internet connection? How can your community come together in times of sudden darkness? This isn't about living in fear. It's about living in awareness. Baba Vanga's vision, while dramatic, offers us a valuable invitation to reconnect with the human side of our existence, to return to skills that brought past generations through hardship, and to balance our digital progress with practical wisdom. So as we move toward an uncertain future, perhaps the lesson here is simple. Don't wait for the fire in the sky to teach you how to live in the dark. Start lighting that inner torch now. 3. The rise of a mysterious leader or force. There is something deeply unsettling and yet oddly familiar about Baba Vanga's third prophecy. The arrival of a new leader or force from the shadows, someone or something that the world did not see coming, yet would be impossible to ignore. She didn't portray this presence as a hero or a villain, but as a disruptor, an agent of transformation that would shake the foundations of global power. When you hear the word leader, what comes to mind? A politician in a suit? A military figure? A wealthy tech mogul? Baba Vanga's vision, however, points beyond conventional roles. She spoke of a person, or possibly a movement, rising from obscurity, someone who doesn't come from the centers of power, but from its edges. This leader may not hold traditional titles or rule with institutions, but may influence minds, values, and decisions on a scale even greater. Could it be a young activist who captures global attention with a message that cuts through division? Could it be a movement born online, spreading not through weapons but through belief, ideas, and a hunger for something new? And if so, are we already witnessing its rise without realizing it? We live in a time when the old systems are cracking. Politics, economy, climate, even our trust in each other. History shows us that when faith in the status quo fades, people look for something or someone to lead them forward. There are decades where nothing happens, wrote Lenin, and there are weeks where decades happen. What if 2025 is one of those turning points? What if this mysterious force isn't just about one person, but a collective awakening, a shift in global consciousness? As a student of Buddhist thought, I often return to the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, who reminded us, "The next Buddha may take the form of a community practicing understanding and loving kindness." That idea feels especially relevant here. Perhaps this leader isn't a single voice, but many rising together in unity, in compassion, in courage. But here's the challenge. Not every movement is rooted in peace. Throughout history, we've seen charismatic figures rise. Some brought light, others brought chaos. How do we tell the difference? How do we stay grounded when the world begins to shift? Ask yourself, what kind of power do you follow? Is it one that divides or one that connects? In times of uncertainty, it's tempting to search for a savior, someone who claims to have all the answers. But sometimes the real answer lies in us, in how we respond, in the choices we make each day, and in the energy we give our attention to. Baba Vanga's prophecy may sound mysterious, even ominous, but maybe its purpose is to prepare us, not for fear, but for awareness. Because whether it's a person or a movement, a disruptor or a peacemaker, the impact will be determined by how we engage with it. So as you listen to this, I invite you to reflect. If a new force is rising, what values do you want it to stand for? And more importantly, how will you rise to meet it? After all, great change doesn't just come from leaders. It comes from ordinary people, awake and ready, who choose to lead with compassion instead of fear. If you've watched up to this point, you're clearly someone who seeks deeper truth and wants to stay ahead of what may be coming. Comment below with "Awakened Spirit" to show you're ready to face the future with open eyes. Don't click away just yet. There's more to uncover about the powerful prophecies that could shape our world and challenge humanity. Number 2. 3 events that will shatter humanity. 1. Total digital collapse. Baba Vanga's prophecy of a sudden and total digital collapse speaks to one of the most profound vulnerabilities of our time. Our complete dependence on invisible systems we rarely think about until they're gone. Picture waking up and finding your phone won't turn on. Your online banking vanishes, your emails disappear, and every photo, file, and message stored in the cloud is unreachable. It's not just inconvenience, it's the unraveling of everything we've come to rely on. While Vanga didn't specify whether this collapse would be caused by a massive cyber attack, an AI uprising, or even a solar storm, the message is clear. The world could be thrust into darkness not by bombs, but by blinking screens that no longer respond. Experts have long warned that the modern digital infrastructure is fragile. Interconnected systems where one breach could bring others tumbling down like dominoes. If this prophecy ever comes to pass, entire nations could lose the ability to govern, trade, or even communicate. Financial markets would freeze, planes could be grounded, food and water systems disrupted, and ordinary people would be left without the basic digital tools that power everything from healthcare to heating. And yet, as unsettling as it sounds, there's a deeper message in this vision that invites reflection. Could such a collapse, painful as it may be a hidden opportunity? A chance to reconnect with what we've lost in our constant connection. In the silence left behind, might we rediscover presence, nature, and face-to-face conversation? In Buddhist thought, clinging leads to suffering, and our attachment to technology may be one of the greatest attachments of all. As Thich Nhat Hanh once said, people have a hard time letting go of their suffering. Out of a fear of the unknown, they prefer suffering that is familiar. If we are clinging to the digital world out of habit and fear, then maybe this prophecy isn't only a warning, it's a wake-up call. What happens if the comfort and control we think technology provides suddenly disappears? Would we panic or evolve? These are questions worth asking, not just as a thought experiment, but as a reminder to live more intentionally now. Can we start preparing ourselves not with fear, but with wisdom? Learning real-world skills, building community, growing in mindfulness, and remembering how to live simply could be our quiet rebellion against total dependence. Because the truth is, the digital collapse may or may not come, but the lesson remains timeless. What we rely on outside of us is never as powerful as what we build within. 2. Disappearance of entire cities. Baba Vanga's chilling prophecy about cities vanishing from the face of the earth is not just a tale meant to provoke fear. It's a mirror held up to our times, reflecting the growing instability of the world we live in. She spoke of entire cities being swallowed by the ground, drowned beneath rising seas, or scorched beyond recognition by fire, with regions once full of life and movement turning silent and uninhabitable. On one hand, many see this as a clear warning about climate change, the rising sea levels threatening coastal cities, wildfires becoming more frequent and uncontrollable, and droughts turning fertile lands into deserts. We've already seen parts of the world experience devastating floods that leave entire communities underwater, or record-breaking heat waves that push populations to the brink. But others take Baba Vanga's words a step further, suggesting something more mysterious. Like shifts in the Earth's magnetic poles, secret underground tectonic forces, or perhaps even interventions from extraterrestrial sources that remain beyond our current understanding. No matter how you interpret it, one truth is hard to ignore. The Earth is changing, and fast. Our modern cities, no matter how tall their skyscrapers or advanced their technology, are not immune to the power of nature. As Lao Tzu once said, "Man is ruled by earth, earth by heaven, heaven by the Tao." In other words, no human structure, no matter how great, can override the natural balance of the universe. So, let me ask you directly, what would you do if your city was next? If the place you call home suddenly disappeared or became unlivable? How would you respond? Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Would you be prepared to start again? Would you have the inner resilience to adapt? Perhaps this prophecy is less about destruction and more about transformation. Could it be that these cities vanish not only in a physical sense, but also symbolically, as a sign that we must rebuild differently, with more harmony, with greater respect for nature, and with stronger community bonds? Sometimes what disappears isn't a loss. It's an opening for something new. In Buddhist teachings, impermanence is one of life's most essential truths. Everything is subject to change, and nothing is guaranteed to last forever, not even cities. But instead of living in fear of what may vanish, we are encouraged to live fully in the present, to build with mindfulness, and to cultivate compassion, so that even if the ground shifts beneath us, the foundation within us remains strong. The lesson here might be this: don't wait for the world around you to collapse before you strengthen the world within. So ask yourself today, if your city were to vanish tomorrow, what part of you would still remain unshaken? 3. A final cosmic event. Among all of Baba Vanga's mysterious prophecies, there is one that stands out as the most cryptic and awe-inspiring, a final cosmic event that would shake not just nations, but the very soul of humanity. She spoke of a celestial occurrence so powerful that it would mark the end of an old era and the beginning of something entirely new. While she left few details, the interpretations have stirred minds and hearts around the world. Some believe this could point to an asteroid impact, an unexpected collision that forces us to confront our vulnerability as a species. Others speculate it may refer to a massive burst of cosmic energy, something like a gamma-ray wave or a shift in Earth's magnetic field that changes the very structure of life on our planet. And then there are those who see this event not as destruction, but as revelation, the long-anticipated moment of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, a disclosure so deep it redefines our understanding of reality, history, and our place in the cosmos. Think for a moment, how would we respond if we suddenly realized we are not alone in the universe? Would we open our hearts with humility and wonder, or would fear and ego drive us into chaos? This prophecy, while grand in scale, also asks something very personal of us. If everything we thought we knew about the universe changed in an instant, what within you would remain steady? As the Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. In other words, the more we cling to certainty, the more we suffer when change arrives. So perhaps Baba Vanga's final cosmic message is not just about an event in the sky. It's a reminder to prepare the mind, to stay grounded, and to embrace impermanence with grace. And yet part of me wonders if this final cosmic event could also be symbolic, a spiritual awakening on a global scale, a collective realization that we are more deeply connected, more responsible for one another, and this earth better than we've ever understood. Whether it's a literal impact or a metaphorical one, the heart of the prophecy is the same. A great shift is coming, and we are being called not to fear it, but to rise to it. So I ask you, not as a prediction, but as an invitation, if the cosmos were to speak to us in 2025, what do you think it would say? And more importantly, how would you listen? Let this be a gentle reminder that true preparation starts not in survival tactics, but in the mind and heart, where awareness, compassion, and courage are always within reach. Thank you for being here with us today as we explore Baba Vanga's chilling prophecies for 2025, 3 events that may shake the world and 3 that could shatter humanity. Your presence means a lot to us. If something in this video resonated with you or simply sparked your curiosity, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new here, just drop a comment saying, "I am a seeker." If you've been walking this path with us for a while, type "I am aware." Every comment helps us grow this community of insight and discovery, and your voice truly matters. Let's continue this journey together. Are you ready? 5 life lessons we should take from these prophecies. What if the real warning in a prophecy isn't about the future, but about how we're living right now? In times like these, when the world feels like it's shifting beneath our feet, many are drawn to the words of mystics, visionaries, and ancient seers. We want answers, certainty, some kind of map to help us navigate the chaos. But what if the true power of prophecy isn't in predicting events, but in preparing our hearts and minds to face them with strength, wisdom, and grace? Now, we're diving deep into 5 life lessons we should take from these prophecies, not as predictions to obsess over, but as invitations to transform the way we live. These lessons are not just survival tools for uncertain times. They are timeless truths meant to anchor us in the storm, guide our choices, and remind us who we are when everything else is shaking. So stay with me, not just to learn what the prophecies say, but to uncover what they're really trying to teach us. Because in the end, it's not about knowing the future, it's about being ready for it. Number 1, don't seek certainty, seek preparedness. In a world that shifts like the wind, many of us still chase the illusion of permanence. We build our lives on assumptions that tomorrow will mirror today, only to be shaken when life's tides turn suddenly. That's why when unexpected events unfold, be it personal loss, financial downturns, or even global crises, so many are left stunned, not because they weren't warned, but because they clung too tightly to comfort and predictability. Baba Vanga, the mystic many look to for guidance, didn't provide us with precise calendars. Instead, she offered signs, echoes meant to stir our awareness, not feed our fear. Her prophecies are reminders, not riddles to obsess over. They ask us to be awake, to ready ourselves inwardly. True preparedness isn't about hoarding food or building bunkers. It begins with our mindset. The strength of resilience lies in how we train the heart to stay steady when life quakes. As the Buddha wisely said, "Nothing is permanent except change," a truth so simple and yet so often forgotten. If we take this to heart, we begin to walk through life not with anxiety, but with alertness, not reacting with panic, but responding with clarity. This is the core of mindfulness, not to control every outcome, but to be deeply present and skillfully responsive when the unexpected arrives. Just as Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, when we are mindful, deeply in touch with the present moment, our understanding of what is going on deepens, and we begin to be filled with acceptance, joy, peace, and love. In the context of modern life, this means preparing our minds just as we prepare our homes, developing mental flexibility, emotional strength, and the capacity to adapt. It means embracing daily practices like meditation, conscious breathing, or simply pausing to reflect, so that when disruption comes, as it inevitably will, we are not shaken from the roots. Look around. Economic shifts, climate events, technological upheavals, they're all signs of a world in flux. But rather than retreating into fear, Let's move forward with wisdom. The more we release the craving for certainty, the more we open to possibility. Let life's unpredictability be a teacher, not a threat. And so, let us live not in expectation of disaster, but in the readiness of spirit, trusting that preparedness is not just a physical act, but a sacred way of meeting the unknown with grace. Number 2, learn to be self-reliant and adaptable. In today's world, it's easy to forget how much we've come to depend on technology. Just think about it. One tap on your phone and dinner arrives, a map shows you where to go, or an answer appears from a search bar. But here's a question worth asking. What do we do when all of that suddenly disappears? When the power goes out, your phone dies, the internet is down, or the shelves at the store are bare, what do you truly have to rely on? This is why learning to be self-reliant and adaptable is not just helpful, it's essential. Past generations survived and thrived without smartphones or instant apps. They knew how to make a meal from scratch, repair what was broken, grow food from the ground, gather clean water, and read the signs in nature, like the way birds move before a storm, or how the sky shifts with changing weather. These weren't just survival tricks, they were life skills that gave people a sense of inner stability and freedom. Self-reliance isn't about rejecting modern life, it's about being ready for anything. It means you're not shaken when things don't go as planned because you know how to handle yourself. And adaptability? That's the gift of being able to move with life, not against it. When you can adjust your mindset, your habits, and even your direction based on what's happening around you, you stop seeing challenges as threats and start seeing them as lessons. So let me ask you this. If everything you depend on suddenly wasn't there, what part of you would rise to meet the moment? What skills, what strength, what wisdom could you lean into? This teaching isn't about fear, it's about preparation and peace. Because the more you understand how to take care of yourself and support those around you, the less fear you carry. And when fear fades, what rises in its place is a quiet, steady confidence. One that brings peace not just in the easy moments, but especially in the hard ones. So here's the takeaway. Start small. Learn one new life skill this week. Pay attention to nature. Fix something with your own hands. Try cooking a meal from scratch. Not because you have to, but because you can. And in that choice, you take one powerful step toward a life that's not only more grounded, but also more free. Number 3, build community, not escape plans. Let's take a moment to really ask ourselves something. When everything feels uncertain, when the world around us seems to shift in ways we can't control, where do we find true safety? Is it in stockpiles, isolation, or running away from the world? Or is it in coming closer to each other, to the warmth of shared understanding, and to the quiet power of belonging? You see, we often fall into the trap of thinking survival means going it alone, being strong, self-sufficient, untouched by the chaos around us. But that kind of strength is brittle. It snaps under real pressure. True strength, the kind that carries us through hardship, is born in connection. It's not the most prepared or heavily armed who thrive in times of crisis. It's those who are most deeply rooted in community. And that, my friend, is something we've slowly let slip away in our digital age. Think about your own life for a moment. How well do you know the people living next door? When was the last time you shared a meal, a story, or even just a sincere smile with someone from your own neighborhood? We spend hours scrolling through online content, engaging with distant strangers, while often ignoring the human presence just a few feet away. But in moments of crisis, it's not our follower count that rushes to our door. It's the neighbor who knows our name, the friend who remembers our allergies, the stranger we once helped and who now helps us in return. And that's not just a nice thought, it's a truth woven into the fabric of ancient wisdom. In Buddhism, this deep sense of interdependence is embodied in the concept of the Sangha spiritual community that uplifts and supports each other through the highs and lows of life. The Sangha isn't just a group of monks in a temple. It can be your friends, your family, your chosen people. It's a reminder that awakening isn't a solo journey. It's something we move toward together, step by step, hand in hand. When we isolate ourselves, we may feel safe temporarily, but we also become more vulnerable to fear, despair, and loneliness. So why do so many of us prepare for disaster by building fortresses instead of bridges? What would happen if we redirected just a fraction of that energy away from preparing to escape and towards showing up for others right here, right now? What if we invested in people the way we invest in backup plans? What if your greatest source of resilience isn't what you have, but who you have around you? I truly believe that rebuilding community is one of the most sacred things we can do in these times. Whether it's joining a local garden, attending a community gathering, helping an elderly neighbor with groceries, or simply listening, deeply listening, to someone's story, each act becomes a thread that weaves us back together. And in that weaving, we find safety, meaning, and yes, even joy. So let me leave you with this. Who is your Sangha? Who do you turn to, and who turns to you? And if you don't know yet, could today be the day you take that first step to find them? Because in the end, we don't rise by standing alone. We rise by holding each other up. Number 4, build inner strength first. In times of uncertainty, many of us instinctively look outward, stocking our shelves, gathering supplies, or seeking safety in material things. While it's wise to be prepared, there's a deeper form of preparation that often gets overlooked: the cultivation of inner strength. It's easy to focus on what we can see and touch, but when the world around us is unpredictable, it's the unseen, our inner world, that ultimately determines how well we face life's storms. Think about it. External security can be lost in a moment, but inner resilience stays with you through every season. This is the essence of true spiritual practice. Not about retreating from the world, but about building a foundation within it that cannot be shaken. Just like a tree must grow strong roots to withstand heavy winds, we too must nurture our inner life to remain steady and compassionate even when life feels chaotic. Simple daily actions can make a profound difference. Begin by setting aside time to simply sit with yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Meditation isn't about escaping your thoughts. It's about becoming familiar with them, watching them come and go without being controlled by them. Journaling is another powerful tool. It helps untangle the noise in your mind and offers clarity. Silence, which is so rare in our modern lives, is deeply healing. Practice being comfortable in stillness, without always needing to be entertained or distracted. Moving your body, whether through walking, yoga, or mindful stretching, connects you to the present moment and brings you back into balance. And don't overlook the way you nourish yourself. Eating mindfully is not just about food, but about gratitude and presence. These practices may sound simple, but done consistently, they help you develop an inner stability that no external event can take away. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to be calm amidst them." That quote isn't just beautiful, it's a life compass. We live in a world that constantly changes, and often not in ways we expect. Instead of preparing only for the outer storms, start making peace your preparation. When you take the time to build inner calm, you not only protect yourself, you become a source of calm for others. In your relationships, at work, and in your community, that grounded presence can offer comfort in ways no amount of stockpiled goods ever could. So in this time, when so many are focusing outward, dare to look inward. Strengthen your spirit. Practice presence. Choose peace daily. Let your inner world be the fortress that keeps you steady when everything else is unsure. Number 5. Don't just survive, live with purpose. In a world where so much feels uncertain, whether it's the whispers of old prophecies, the signs of great change, or the shifting of our inner and outer landscapes, it's easy to slip into survival mode. But let me ask you this: is merely surviving enough for you? If time truly is more precious than ever, as many of these ancient teachings suggest, then every moment counts, and every action we take becomes a part of something greater. So pause for a moment and reflect. Are you living with intention? Are you walking a path that feels true to your heart? Or are you caught up in routines that drain your spirit? These questions aren't meant to pressure you, but to awaken you. Because when we live with purpose, even in small, quiet ways, we shift the energy around us. We begin to live in alignment with what matters most. And purpose doesn't have to be grand or loud. It could be kindness to a stranger, speaking honestly with someone you love, or choosing compassion when judgment feels easier. When we hear of possible upheavals, a rise of a new leader, a cosmic realignment, or a breaking down of outdated systems, we might feel fear or uncertainty. But here's the thing: you get to choose how you show up in these times. Will you let fear define your story, or will you step forward with clarity and courage, even when the path isn't fully lit? That's the invitation life is offering you right now, to not just react, but respond, to not just float, but guide your own vessel. You don't need to change the whole world, but you can be a light within it, and never underestimate how powerful that light can be. As the saying goes, in times of darkness, the smallest light still shines the brightest. What if your presence, your truth, your joy, even in hardship, was that light for someone else? So I encourage you, not with urgency, but with care. Look at how you're spending your time, your energy, your days. What are you giving your attention to? What stories are you telling yourself about what's possible for your life? And most importantly, how do you want to be remembered? Not just in legacy, but in the everyday interactions that ripple out from your choices. These are the real prophecies worth living by. You are not powerless. You are not small. You are here for a reason. Step into that reason, live with purpose, and let your life be a quiet revolution of meaning. Lesson to carry forward. Purpose isn't something we find. It's something we choose to live each day. Even the smallest act of goodness creates waves. In times of change, be the one who stands firm, grounded in what matters most. Not by force, but by being fully, beautifully you. So, as we reflect on Baba Vanga's haunting visions for 2025, 6 prophecies that shake and shatter not just the world, but the human spirit, we are reminded of something deeper, that within every great disruption lies a hidden invitation, not to panic, but to awaken, not to escape, but to evolve. The future may bring storms, silence, or sudden change, but what matters most is how we respond. Will we live in fear, or will we live with wisdom? That choice, as always, begins within. If this video stirred something in you, if it gave you insight or simply a moment of pause, please consider supporting our journey. Like, share and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom, and make sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming explorations into ancient teachings, modern truths, and the path forward. Together, we're not just witnessing the signs of change, we're learning how to meet them with courage, compassion, and clarity. Thank you for being here. Stay grounded, stay aware, and remember, wisdom is not just what we learn, but how we live. Until next time, may peace be your compass, and may your journey be guided by light.